Hi guys, my name is Becca. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm here with my main February wrap-up. So what I mean by that is that for my TBRs, I put 10 books on the TBR, and then I do a wrap-up for those 10 books. And then for the end of the month, if I've read anything else other than those, I'll do another wrap-up. It just makes it a lot easier for me because I'm not talking about like so many books, because I can read up to 20 every month, and I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to talk about so many books in a wrap up. And a lot of times I don't remember quite a bit about what's going on in any of the books. So I'm just like, this way I will be able to remember somewhat of what's going on, and I can talk about that. And so yeah, that's really what I'm trying to do there. And then there is, oh god, why can't I think of words? G over at Book Roast is doing a year-long what was it? Like readathon. It's a year-long readathon of the Magical Readathon. I'm just drowning right now. Okay. Other than her 2 months where she does a month-long readathon, right now there's a prompt every month, other than those 2 months, that you just read a book for that, and then you will progress. It looks like this. This is the map. You start off either turn left or turn right. You read the prompt for that, and then you just continue, keep following. And then, of course, April and August are the 2 months that she doesn't do it, because you're already participating in the readathon for those 2 months. My God. And then, yeah. So by December, in December, you will finish, and you just follow the footsteps. Yeah. That's it. Okay. So I am doing that, obviously. I started in January, and I did complete mine for this month. So we'll talk about that when I get to that book. Okay. But my prompt for this month, I have a choice of two. It was either to go to the forest and read a book that has trees on the cover, or go towards a lake which has water on the cover. So yeah. But the first book that I read in the month of February was Twisted Games by Anna Wong. This one is, we follow Bridget and Reese. Bridget is a princess of another kingdom, and Reese is her bodyguard. And Bridget's brother has decided to abdicate the throne and leave Bridget as the crown princess now. And the reason he abdicated was because he fell in love with a commoner, and can't do that when, like, you can't marry the commoner that you're in love with, or you can't marry a commoner when you're heir to the throne. And so now it's up to her to rule this kingdom, and she's falling in love with her commoner bodyguard. So it's not looking good for her. I really did enjoy this book. I gave it 4 stars. I'm somewhat looking forward to the next book, though I'm kind of hesitant, because it's a very, very hate to love trope, and I do love the hate to love, the enemies to lovers thing, but I'm not sure how I feel about how extreme hate it could be. So we'll see. But the next book that I read is Jasper Vale by Devney Perry. And this is the book that I chose for the readathon prompt because it has trees. You can't really tell. There are trees. Yeah, those are all trees. I'm like, oh god, what if they're not? No, they are. They're all trees, though you can't really see it, and that's like a mountain face, but still trees. Oh yeah, you can see it much better down here, but still. This one follows Jasper and Eloise. Jasper Vale. This is the first book, or maybe the only book, that actually has the name of the person on the cover. Like, in the title, it's the name of the person, where all the other titles were names of the places that they love the most. But hey, totally fine. So this one follows Jasper and Eloise, and Eloise runs the hotel, and Jasper is Foster's best friend and trainer. Foster is the hero from the third book. And Jasper and Eloise decide to go to Vegas and support Foster in his UFC fight there. And they end up getting extremely drunk and married by the end of it. So they don't know what to do now. They're married and they're like, fuck it, not good. And they're trying to decide if they should annul, divorce, or stay married. And they should take responsibility for what happened, or if they should just keep it a secret. It's a whole thing. Eloise at first wants to keep it a secret, but when it gets out, she's like, oh god, maybe we should do something. It was so good. It was so good. I love Jasper. At first, I was just like not feeling him, and then like I really got to know him more, and I loved him. And I love Eloise, and I feel for Eloise because she runs a hotel so well. It's her family's hotel, and she's the manager. She runs everything. She just doesn't own it in name because her family doesn't think she's ready for it. And she is trying so hard to prove to them that she's ready for it. And it's so good. It's so good. Don't fall. Okay. All right. Next up, we have Final Offer by Lord Asher. This is the third book in the Dreamland Billionaire series. I think it's the final book because he's the final brother. So the whole plot of this series is for the three brothers. They in order to gain their inheritance after their grandfather has passed, their grandfather owned the Dreamland, it's basically like Disneyland, but their world's Disneyland kind of thing. It's Dreamland, and everything that entails with that. So so their grandfather passed, and they're trying to gain their inheritance, but in order to gain their inheritance, they each have to fulfill something specific that their grandfather has left in the will. And for Cal, it's to go back to their grandfather's summer home or whatever it was, and sell that place because he used to go there a lot, and he fell in love with someone there. I think he used to go there in the summers, and he fell in love with a woman there, and he ended up leaving her because of certain things that happened. And so now he is forced to go back there, and then he realizes that the woman he fell in love with also owns that house. She co-owns it with him. So now he is like, crap, what do I do? Like, I need to get her on board to sell this house. But now I have to really, like, reconnect with her, and I don't want to. Like, this isn't going to end well. And then he finds out she also is a single mom. So, right there for me, it's like, fuck, I could love this book. I could really love this book. So what I love about Cal is that he the reason he left Lana in the beginning was because of his addictions. He was extremely addicted to drugs and alcohol, and he didn't want to end it. He ended up going to rehab for it, but he was only able to kick the drugs and not the alcohol, and so he decided to leave so she, would find someone better than him, obviously. And it's been so many years, maybe 5 years, actually. I don't remember. But he hasn't been able to kick the alcohol, and there's a reason. He has anxiety, and he uses the alcohol as a coping mechanism. Which I can understand. And I can understand his reluctancy to let go of it. But I love the conversations in this. I love the discussions. I love all of it. Like, I gave this 5 stars. I loved everything about this book. The town, because it was a small town that his grandfather lived in, they all gang up on Cal because they all love Lana and they didn't like what Cal did to Lana. And it's just like, at first I was like, come on, people. Like, you don't know what he's been through. Like, it's not like he treated her like shit. He just left her because he had a reason. And, like, yeah, okay, that's horrible, but, like, come on. Like, this whole town does not need to make him feel like shit. Or treat him like shit. And then, like, I understood it, but I was like, come on. Like, that's not fair. But yeah, I gave it 5 stars. Can you blame me? Like, I loved everything about it. I gave it 5 stars. And then, which, you know, you would think that every single parent trope, every single parent book would be 5 stars for me. Like, I would just rate it so highly. Which, I mean, yeah, maybe. Except I got to this book, Stay For Me, and I didn't rate it 5 stars. I rated it 4, but it was close to being less than that. It was close to being rated low. And it's Stay For Me by Corin Michaels. And I've really enjoyed the books in the series. I think I've given each one of the books in the series a 4-star. And I was looking forward to this one because it was a single parent trope. And I was like, oh my god, this is going to be my favorite. This is going to be my 5-star in the series. I just know it. And at first, it really could have. Jacob, we followed Jacob, who is our last brother. And he is a famous movie star. And he has to come back to town because of also a will. And in order to be able to sell off his portion of the land, he has to stay in his, like, family home for 6 months. Or on their family land for 6 months. Just like every one of his brothers has had to do. What's it called? He ends up connecting with Brenna, who is a single mom, and her son, Sebastian. By the way, she has 2 kids, but her son, Sebastian, is a huge fan of Jacob's. Like, he watches all of his movies over and over again. He absolutely adores this man. And Jacob is like, I'll take him under my wing, you know, I'll take him fishing. And he also volunteers to direct a school play, which I think was really cute. And it all just seems to be going well. And then towards the middle of the book, I was like, there's something off. And I really realized that while Jacob and Sebastian are great, Jacob and Brenna are really good. Jacob and Melanie, which is Brenna's other kid, her eldest daughter, or her eldest kid, her daughter, they have, like, no relationship. Nothing is happening between the two. They interact a couple of times, and they seem fine, but it's just, to me, it's like, why is he not willing to do anything with her? It's all just, like, him and Brenna, him and Sebastian. Where's him and Melanie? And, like, it just kind of bothered me, because I was like, are you freaking kidding? Like, at least try and ask, because he didn't do any of that. So I was just like, really? Okay. And then the third act conflict happened. And I was so angry at Brenna. I did not I could understand, but I couldn't understand. Because I was like, come on. Like, this isn't the same shit. I was so pissed. I was screaming at her. Like, literally. I was just angry. And, this is just such bullshit. And then, like, the actual conflict happened, and I was like, I was crying. Like, I'm not kidding. When the conflict happened to separate them, I was pissed off, and I was willing to give this, like, 2 or 3 stars. Like, depending on the ending, it would have been a 2 or 3 star. I wouldn't have known which one until I read the end. And then, like, the next part, when something's going on, I'm bawling. like, I'm screaming in a whole different way. And it was so good. But, like, I still was pissed off at Brenna. I still was just like, no, this is, like, it still upset me that Jacob and Melanie didn't really have a relationship. Like, it was just like, she has 2 kids. Why are you only interacting with one? So I just, hold on. I was just, no. So I gave it 4 stars. But still. Okay. Oh, by the way, if you've noticed, all of these books but one is a continuation to a series. I just really want to focus on series this year, so I am doing that in this way, and it's working out really well. I'm reading quite a bit of the series and stuff, and I'm really happy. Next series is the Dark Olympus series, and I've read Radiant Sin by Katie Robert. This is the 4th book in the series, and this one follows Cassandra and Apollo. Cassandra works for Apollo. Apollo is like the spy master, and she is basically like his right hand. What's it called? So this is the book where like the plot, like the overall plot of the series is really starting to like take effect. To really start to move forward. And Apollo is trying to figure out what's going on with the new people in town, like in their city. And he ends up getting invited to a party that the new man in this city and his children are throwing. And so he needs to, he's going there to spy on them, to figure out what their motives are and everything like that. And he needs to take Cassandra with him because she could really help. And she won't do it at first, but then Zeus is like, I'll pay you a shitload of money to do it. And the thing is about Cassandra is that her parents died. Her parents died when she was young because of some things that happened. And she, it's only her and her sister, and she just does not feel safe in the city with everybody around her. Because, like, at any moment, someone could just want her dead. So, she's really been trying to get out of the city, but she knows there's no safe option, except for when Zeus is like, I'll pay you a shitload of money. So there's money to, get out of the city and to find a new life. And then also, like, he'll give her safe passage out of town. So she agrees to fake date Apollo and help spy on these people and figure out what's going on. It was, like, the shit that was happening was insane. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. I love Cassandra and Apollo. I do. And I am looking forward to the next book in the series because it's an open poly, and I am just like, oh my god. Like, it's an open poly knot, and I am like, huh? Okay. But I did really like it. I liked the plot. Like, the plot was insane. There was a lot of mystery going on because the party, each night of this whole party, because it was, it was a few nights, there was a game, and they had to, you had a prize at the end of the game, but then there was, like, a lot of mystery going around because people were getting hurt or going missing and stuff like that, and it was insane, but I really liked it. So 4 stars. Alright, next up, we have Queen of Myth and Monsters by Scarlett St. Clair. This is the sequel to King of Battle and Blood. This is the 2nd book in the Adrian and Isolde series. I don't know how many books are going to be in it. Could be 3, maybe. Could be 4. I don't know. But yeah, Adrian is the vampire king, and Isolde comes from a kingdom that Adrian was planning to conquer. But instead of conquering that kingdom, he decides to marry Isolde and incite peace in that kingdom. So, like, as long as he is married to her, he will not conquer that kingdom. So, that's nice. Okay. And then of course, like, in the beginning it was like, all right, well, I have a chance to kill you, and now it's maybe I'm falling in love with you, and then something else happens in King of Battle and Blood that I'm just like, oh shit. And like, that's why I really liked King of Battle and Blood. I gave that 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. Though the first time around I gave it 4, and then the second time around I gave it 5. This one is a direct sequel, so there's really nothing I can say more about this one, except for the fact that Adrian Neisold just, I was not enjoying their, like, fight. Like, they fought constantly. Every time they fought, they you know, in order to make up, they just fucked. And it was a lot of fighting and fucking. Like, a lot. And I was so over it. Like, first few times, sure, no problem. Like, literally throughout the entire book, it's the same shit. Like, he would tell her, don't do something. She would go do it. They would fight, and they would fuck. He would tell her, you know, do this. She wouldn't do it. They would fight, they would fuck. He would say something that didn't have anything to do with her, but she took it the wrong way, so they would fight, they would fuck. And it was just, it was annoying. But the overall plot, the romance was good. It's just that part was annoying. And it was very. See, I gave it 4 stars. I did really enjoy this book, but I love the first one more. But yeah, we'll see how the series continues on. But I had like such high hopes for the series, and then like that happened. I was just like, okay, all right, okay. All right, and then we have our next book, which is Powerless by Elsie Silver. This is the 3rd book in the Chestnut Springs series. I'm not sure if there's gonna be oh no, there should be at least one more, because Bo. We follow each of the Eaton brothers, though Jasper, which is our main guy. I literally read 2 books that had Jasper as their main character. But Jasper Gervais is not an Eaton by blood, but he is an Eaton. Because when he was younger, I think it was high school, he was living in his car because his family wanted to get rid of him. They were just horrible people. And what's that called? I think it was Bo found out that Jasper was sleeping in his car and took him home, and so now he isn't Eaton no matter what. Like, he's not an Eaton by blood, but he is an Eaton. And we follow Jasper and Sloane, who is a cousin of the Eatons, so it works out. They're best friends. She ends up getting engaged, and Jasper's pissed. He finds out she's engaged, and he is not happy. And in the very beginning of this book, she's about to get married, and her husband-to-be, she finds out that her husband-to-be did something really bad right before their wedding. And thankfully, it's before she goes down the altar, so it's before she walks down the aisle. And so, yeah, she runs away with Jasper. It's great. It's so good. And there's a lot of things that he needs to work through, a lot of things that she needs to work through. They have really great discussions. Ultimately, they're best friends, and their romance just blossoms because of that. Sorry. And I love them. I gave this 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. I can't wait for another book, because it's got to be Bo's book, because he's the last of the Eaton brothers. Oh, and something really bad happens. And Bo ends up going missing in that book, and they can't find him, and like they don't know, because Bo is in the military, and so they don't know if he's dead, if he's alive, what's going on. And so Jasper's really struggling with that. Also, why did I forget to say this? Jasper is a famous hockey player. Sloane is daughter of a very prominent family. But yeah, I just, like, Jasper is really having a hard time because of what's going on, and it's just, it's a lot in that book, but it was so good. Absolutely recommend it. All right. You know what? The next book is also on my iPad, but it's the last book on my iPad. This book was not on my original TBR. Okay, this is Letters to Molly by Devney Perry. I had War on my original TBR, but the thing is that, uh, like a week or so after making that TBR, I was like, I don't want to read War right now. A lot of people are reading the Four Horsemen series and by Laura Thalassa. Because of Becca and the Books, her Alpha Hope book series, her first one was the Four Horsemen series, which was the reason I really wanted to pick it up as well, even though I love Laura Thalassa's Bargainer series. And I read Pestilence, and I liked it. I gave it 4 stars. But there was something about it that I was like, I don't want to read that same book right now. And I know from watching everyone's reviews for it, it's each of the books is basically the same book with different characters. Like, there's some little things that change, but not a whole lot. And I'm just like, I do not want to read War, knowing that it's basically the same book as Pestilence all over again. Not right now. I've got to give it a few months, and then I'll do it. So maybe in April, I'll pick up War, and then, like, give it a few months, and then pick up Famine, and then give it a few months, and then pick up Death. We'll see. I want to finish that whole series this year, but yeah, it's not going to be happening right away. So I decided I was not going to pick up War, and so I was like, what can I read that's also in a series? Because I really do want to read something that's in a series, and something I want to read right now. And I was like, well, I finished the birthday list last month as an extra, so let's read Letters to Molly this month. And I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. It's by Devney Perry. I mean, come on. The birthday list was great. That was Poppy and Cole's book. And then Letters to Molly is Finn and Molly's book. And Finn and Molly, in the first book, you find out that they were married for a long time. And then they just recently, in the first book, got divorced. And in this book, it's 6 years after their divorce. And they're doing well, like, raising their kids together, and just being friends. Though they're still, like, you can tell they still love each other. Though, Finn is not ready to forgive Molly for what happened. And Molly is not ready to forgive Molly. So, there's that. But what Molly doesn't know is that Finn wrote her letters throughout their entire relationship. Like, from when they first met to the end of their marriage. He wrote all of these letters to her that he never gave her or sent her or anything. And someone found those letters and are sending them to Molly. And Finn is not okay with that, because there are some letters that just should... He's just like, I didn't want her to read them. I just needed to get my feelings out. But because of those letters, it is forcing Molly and Finn to really talk about... like, their whole marriage and why their marriage went downhill the way it did and everything that happened. And I was so here for it. I absolutely loved it. Their discussions were absolutely fantastic. Their relationship with their kids was just so beautiful. Oh my God, I loved it. I loved it so much. That was definitely a 5 star. All right, that's it for my iPad. So that can go over there. Now I have 2 physical books left. Okay, first up we have Fake It Till You Bake It, which is by Jamie Wesley. This one follows Jada Townsend Matthews, who was a contestant on a reality dating show. And she ends up winning. Like, it was a Bachelor type show, and she ends up being the last person, and the person that the Bachelor proposes to at the end, and she turned him down. She just was like, it's not working. Like, I just don't feel like we will work out. And so she turns him down. But in doing so, she had to lie and say that she had someone back home waiting for her that she felt more strongly about. Because they were not happy with the whole, it wasn't working, whole thing. And so coming back home though, she does find that there is a new cupcake shop. It's called Sugar Blitz, and it's run by Donovan Dell, who is a football player. And her grandmother actually owns the football team that he's a part of. It's the Knights. And but him and his two fellow football players end up co-owning this cupcake shop, and they sell really fantastic cupcakes, but their shop isn't like the greatest to look at. It's kind of it's kind of stale, and she ends up going in there and saying that exact thing, and he is not happy about it. So their whole first meet does not go well. And then her grandmother gets in her head that she needs a job because she wants to gain her trust fund. She doesn't really know what she wants to do with her life right now. And she wants to gain her trust fund and just find out what she wants to do. But she needs to at least have a job for 6 months before she can do that, and she doesn't want to work with any of her family. So her grandmother ends up getting her a job with Donovan's. She ends up working this cupcake shop. And she cannot bake at all. And then word gets around that she's working there, and everyone starts asking her if he is the guy that she was waiting for when she was on the dating site. And she just was like, yeah, that's him. I love him. Oh my god. And so they have to start fake dating. And he's doing it because he wants to get better traffic for his cupcake shop. And she's doing it so everyone will stop hating her for the fact that she turned down the last guy. And yeah, it was really cute. I gave it 4 stars. I loved the thing is though, every time they were talking about their cupcakes, I wanted a cupcake very badly, or at least something extremely sweet. So I really did enjoy it. I gave it 4 stars. And then lastly, I just finished this morning. It's Astor Parker Doesn't Fail by Ashley Herring Blake. This is the second book to Delilah Green Doesn't Care. I think the series is called the Bright Falls series, which is where they live, in Bright Falls. So we follow Astrid, who is a lead designer for this inn, this inn's renovation. There is a network that is going to do an episode on renovating this inn, and it's actually the lead carpenter, Jordan's family home, or her grandmother's inn. So it's all in the family kind of a thing. And Astrid is Delilah's stepsister. And so Astrid and Jordan first meet, and it's not good. Jordan accidentally spills coffee on Astrid's, it could actually be this dress, but I don't know. But it's Astrid's favorite dress, and Astrid goes ballistic. And they don't even know that they're both going to be on this show together. And then they find out, and it's not good. But slowly they start to become friends, and then somewhat more. Astrid's coming to terms with her sexuality, which I really love. She's starting to realize that maybe she's not straight. And Jordan is, I want to say she's lesbian. I'm pretty sure she's lesbian. She's at least bisexual, but I'm pretty sure she's lesbian. I don't think she's ever had feelings for a man. And she has come out of a really horrible breakup. And they both, so Astrid and Jordan really both need this show to go well, and for both of their careers. Jordan is having a really hard time right now, and she just needs to be able to sink into what she's doing. And Astrid wants to please her mother because her mother is a fucking cunt. Sorry, but it's true. And I at first was not a huge fan of Astrid. I wasn't a huge fan of her in Delilah's book. And then this book, I was like, great, now I have Astrid. I don't really like Astrid, but let's see how it goes. And not gonna lie, in the beginning, like that whole coffee thing, I was just like, I hate Astrid so much. Like, this is not just gonna be, no. But slowly she started getting to me where I was like, okay, I'm actually kind of liking her. Just a little bit. Just a little. And then towards the end, I full on fucking loved her. I loved her and Jordan. I couldn't help it. They got in my heart, and I just, yeah. I gave this 4 stars though. This is not a 5. I wish it was, but like Delilah and Claire's relationship just had me full force like loving them so much. And I still need to own their book. I don't even have it. But Astrid and Jordan's book was really cute. I really liked the relationship. I liked how they went from not really, like, pretty much hating each other to slowly becoming friends to slowly maybe figuring out that they actually kind of like each other to just full on falling in love. And I loved it. But I didn't love it as much as Delilah and Claire. So also it doesn't hurt that Claire was a single mom. So maybe that's why I gave it 5 stars. Who knows? But I did really end up loving this book. It was a 4-star, not a 5. Okay, so that's all the books that I had on my TBR that I read, and I had a really good month, not gonna lie. And this is why I am trying to do this, is because each of these books that I really wanted to read end up becoming like 4 and 5-star books. Like, maybe there's a 3 every once in a while, but these are books I very, very much want to read, and I think I'm gonna really love. And so I read them now instead of just putting them off until like next year when I'm not interested in them anymore, and they might go further downhill. But I'm really glad that I read all of these books, and I just, yeah, I'm glad that I'm doing what I'm doing because it's really working. Even though it's only been 2 months, it's still working. Okay, so that's it for me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you again with another. Bye, and happy reading.